Hello everybody, I'm Brandon Godward, and I want you to think back to 1 month ago, Christmas morning. We all get up and look under the tree to see what presents we got. Today, I'm going to tell you about our beloved Christmas gift giver. He has many names. Kris Kringle, Saint Nick, Father Christmas, but most of them know him as Santa Claus. I became interested in Santa and his origins in the 5th grade when I heard a story about how he rescued 3 poor sisters, but I'll get back to that later. So today I'm going to tell you about his origins, some of his aliases and the information behind that, and Santa today. So, his origins. The story that we can find that goes furthest back is the story of Saint Nick. According to History.com, in the year 2080, in Parta, which is now modern-day Turkey, there was a monk named Nicholas. He was known for being kind and devoted and generous. So, one day he happened upon 3 sisters who were extremely poor. So poor that they couldn't afford their own dowry. So, the father said, "Guess I'm going to have to sell you into slavery." That's just how things work out. So, Saint Nick heard about this, and he said, "Not today." He bought all their dowries and provided to them, and it was stories like that that made him really gain popularity. So he eventually became a saint, as we now know, and he was the patron saint of sailors and children, believe it or not. And he was actually celebrated on December 6th, not December 25th like Christmas that we know it now. So now that we went into the origins of the tale that we can find, the furthest back tale, we'll talk about some of the other names of Santa. One of them is Sinterklaas. Now this was a European version of Santa. He would show up in late autumn, not in winter or anything like that, and instead of elves, he had a group of mischievous little helpers called the Zartpiet, according to All Things Christmas, and they would help him get his toys ready, everything like that. He didn't have a team of reindeer or a sleigh, but he did have a steamboat or sometimes a train, and that really depended on where the person who was talking about him was based at. It was all terrain based. So, moving on, another well-known version is Father Christmas. So he was an early Christmas persona. He was British, and he was around the 15th century. Originally, his name wasn't Father Christmas. It was Sir Christmas, or some people called him Captain Christmas. Later on, he evolved and began to be depicted as an older man, and people called him Old Christmas. Then even further on, he was a gift giver, and everyone started calling him Father Christmas. So now that you know about some of the names, we'll talk about Santa in pop culture today. So we all know what Santa looks like. He's a big fat guy, beard, dressed in red, fur trim. He has a team of reindeer with the sleigh, elves in a workshop to help him make toys, and Mrs. Claus to keep him company all year round. This is very different from how he used to be. Now, something that I want to talk about briefly is how children view Santa today and the level of belief. So I had a thought. I wonder if kids today believe less than they did in previous times, especially with the introduction of the internet. Now, according to CNN and data gathered by them, in 1978, approximately 85% of 4-year-olds, 65% of 6-year-olds, and 25% of 8-year-olds believe in Santa. Now, does the internet change that? According to the same source, in 2011, 85% of 5-year-olds still believed in Santa. So, according to this information, we can deduce that levels of belief are about the same, even with the internet and that unlimited source of information we have. So, it's well known that children foster belief for Santa between the ages of 3 and 4, and at age 8 it kind of dies out. So that's when they kind of come into reality. Think about the logistics of the whole thing. Can Santa actually deliver home presents to every home in the world in one night? It's pretty hard to do. So at the age of 8, they reason and are like, he's probably not a real guy. So in pop culture, there's one company that stands out above the rest as popularizing Santa and how we see him today, and that's Coca-Cola. Now, pre-Civil War, Santa was depicted as a small, like elf-like creature wearing a brown coat. Doesn't look anything like what we know him as now. While Coke wasn't the first person, or the first company I should say, to show Santa as having being dressed in red, they did popularize the image. That was in the 1930s when they started including him in their ad campaigns. They made it so he always wore the red suit. He was fat, had a beard, everything that we think of when we think of Santa today. Also, in between the time of him looking like Little Elf and him looking like the jolly guy that we know, he was depicted as a tall, thin old man with a very grim expression. So not very jolly at all. Now, a lot of these ads that Coke put out with Santa, it displayed him doing various holiday things like coming down the chimney, playing with toys, playing with kids, eating cookies, raiding the fridge. He did that a lot apparently. So they really popularized what we think of as Santa today, because before Coke did that, nobody else really did that. Nobody was like, oh, he's a jolly fat guy that eats cookies and stuff. That was mostly due in part to Coca-Cola. So in conclusion, now you know about some of Santa's origins, some of his aliases, and Santa today. So remember, be good, or else all you're going to get is cold next year.